Hi everyone and welcome to our daily blog for this week. We're going to move on from the birth of Jesus to looking at the implication of that birth, and we're going to look at the story of the Magi this week, this epic journey that they took, and a story that many people know well. When we talk about journeys, when we go to sea, often in navigation we use a technical term called a cocked hat for plotting our position. You take a bearing from 3 different places, you draw lines, and that gives you a triangle, and depending upon the size of your triangle tells you how sure you are of where you are. In the life of our church and bigger, we often look at the Bible, but there's also history and archaeology, there's science, there's textual criticism. What if we were to bring all these together as we look at the story of the Magi, and more importantly the story of Jesus? If we do so, what we find is that we're now reasonably sure we know what the Star of Bethlehem was and is. It's the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn. This is a picture of it on the 20th of December 2020, in this epic year, over the Judean desert, not far from Bethlehem. What we know is that that took place around about 7 BC, and it's quite possible this was what the Magi saw. We then know there was a number of other phenomena in the stars and alignments that took place in 6 BC. The year was full of them. And it may well be this that inspired the Magi to set out on this epic journey of 1,000 miles up the Euphrates, through Syria and into Israel, and eventually to Bethlehem. What we also know is that would have taken between three months and a year, which sort of takes us into 5 BC. And then we know the story of the shepherds, that they would have been people who would have been out in the fields really at lambing time, only at lambing time, because that's when sheep were most vulnerable. The rest of the year they would have been at home. And so we're somewhat sure that Jesus probably was born between March and April in 5 BC. How incredible is that? Well, what's interesting is this is not new. 2 great Christian scientists, Kepler and Newton, worked a lot of this out in the 1600s. It's just that we've forgotten about it. Holding our disciplines apart, we've forgotten these 2 great Magi of their day. When we take all that into the crucifixion and this way of working, we know from the Bible that it was the 14th of Nisan. We know it was Passover time. We know it was a Friday. And by using a way of looking at all the tables, we can be reasonably sure one of the key dates was the 3rd of April, AD 33. What's very interesting from recent studies is that in Peter's story of the crucifixion in Acts chapter 2 at Pentecost, he talks about the moon turning to blood, and there was indeed a lunar eclipse on the 3rd of April AD 33. The idea of the sky turning black was not that there was a solar eclipse on the same day, but this is a dust storm from the Sahara Desert over Britain, and they're looking into whether that may have taken place round about that time. And the same with earthquakes. We're sure that there was a significant seismic shudder during that year of AD 33. It's incredible how all these events that can seem just like add-ons to the crucifixion story may well have been physical events in history that actually point to not that science and religion are 2 separate truths, but they all point to the one truth. And that is really helpful to us as we look to the future. Can we be like Magi, not holding all these different disciplines in separate departments in universities, but actually working together in all things and in all fields, pointing to one truth? The Magi were astronomers, astrologers, politicians, deeply spiritual people. who knew and wanted to meet the Messiah. As we journey through this week, may we not only find the Messiah of the past, but also the Lord and God of the present, the Word made flesh, who is also our future, the one truth that points us to the one purpose, which is love itself. I hope you enjoy this week as we journey with the Magi. And may God be with you and God bless you. Bye for now.